Dakota isn't my favorite territory, but in it lived one of my favorite people. Lemuel Shepard, M.D., patched up 2 big holes for me once. One of them a bullet hole in my right leg, and the other in my philosophy of life. Doc Shepard?
Why, Vince. Vince Bonner, you old scallywag. Where'd you come from? Come right in this house. Am I glad to see you? Let me look at you. Ah, you look good, boy. You put on some years, 5, 10, how many?
Well, I don't know exactly.
It doesn't matter. Say, you hungry, huh?
Well, I could eat something.
That's a foolish question to ask. Now sit down, I'll fix you something to eat. Oh, wait a minute. How's the leg?
Oh, it's been all right, hasn't it?
Come on, get the boot off. Let me see it.
All right, Doc, but I tell you, it's perfectly all right.
I didn't do you any favor, son.
What do you mean?
It's a bad scar, clumsy surgery. You shouldn't be able to see that at all.
Look, it's all right. It never bothered me at all. As good as new.
Well, I'll see what I've got to eat. I ain't got much. People around here are peaceful and prosperous now. They pay in cash. You know, I miss that beef and pork and the grub I used to get paid with. Well, I'll see what I can rustle up, son. What is it?
Who is this?
I don't know. It's the boy, Vince. He's had a terrible beating.
Someone just drop him here?
Wait, Bench. I'll need your help. I gotta get him inside. He might be hurt bad. If anything's broken, I don't want to compound it. It's a wonder he's still alive.
Couldn't he have fallen down a bank or off a cliff or a horse or something?
Then I've been treating kids for accidents like that for 30 years. No, siree. This boy was beaten. What kind of person would beat a boy like this?
I don't know. Hey, Doc, I found something. Looks like one of those skip rocks we used when we were kids. Got some names on it.
What names?
Mark and Luke.
Mark and Luke? Where'd you get it?
In his pants pocket.
I wonder if one of these is his name. M.A. What does that mean?
Could be Ma for mother.
We better get the sheriff. This boy could be hurt bad internally.
Where'd I most likely find him now?
Check the saloon. If he isn't there, someone will know where he is.
How about it, Mayor?
Nope. I'm pretty sure he doesn't belong to anybody in this town, and I know everyone hereabouts. Sure looks like he took a terrible beating.
That he did.
I don't think anyone around here could have done it. We've had a real quiet town for the last few years.
Then you better get some rest, and I'll stay up and watch the boy.
I'll do that. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to do some tracking.
Find out anything?
Not much. Few hoof prints. Anyone recognize the boy?
No. Like I said, he's not from hereabouts.
See. Any change in him?
He's got his eyes open.
You mean he's conscious?
No, I wouldn't say that. He just stares, almost as though he's in a coma.
I see. Let's have another look at him. Mayor, have you got any idea when your sheriff will be back?
Couldn't be before 3 days, maybe a week.
I see. See you later.
Be home if you need me.
Good. He's coming out of it.
Are you Mark? Are you Luke? Where's your ma?
I wish we was all dead.
All right. All right now.
Poor kid.
Well, I feel better about him now than I did.
Is he going to be all right?
I don't know. But I better get somebody to stay with him.
How is he, Doc? He's better. He'll be all right.
Could he tell you anything?
We didn't try to talk to him much, but we will. We'll find out. Frank, would you ride over to the Widow Crawford's ranch and ask her to come and sit with the boy for a spell?
Yeah, and if any of the ranch folks come to town, send them over here. I want them to have a look at this youngster. I'm going downtown to talk to the mayor. Looks to me like this town needs a lawman. If I say my words just right, maybe he'll deputize me. I'd sure like to get my hands on the man that did this.
If I don't get a nap, I won't be no hootin' good for anything.
I'll see you later.
It ain't like you to go off half-cocked.
Look, Lem, I know I'm not the smartest man in the world, and this is probably none of my business. But every time I look at that boy in there, my stomach turns over. You haven't got any law around here, so I'm going to do something about it. I wouldn't sleep right if I didn't try.
Yeah, but... Yes?
You been Bonner?
I'm Vin Bonner.
I'm Eli Edwards. I do some mining. I hear you have a boy here all beat up and hurt.
You heard right.
He's gonna be all right?
Probably, but it'll take a long time. He took an awful walloping.
You know anything about it?
No, but I've seen a real strange rig. Real strange.
Where?
Oh, about 6 miles out by Crickeshaw Creek Ford. Looked like a hearse instead of a wagon.
What makes you think it had anything to do with the boy?
Oh, I don't know. It was a real strange rig. I thought I heard a voice, too, singing hymn-like music. Then it stopped. I got kind of curious. So after I ate, it was dark, except for the moonlight. I thought I'd stretch my leg a bit. So I walked over toward the camp, and I got a little close. I couldn't see nobody around. You know, my eyes are not so good. So I got a little closer, and I could see some writing on the wagon. It said, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
What are you doing here?
Oh, I was just looking at your wagon. I was curious to see what you had written on it. You see, my eyes are not so good.
You believe what it says?
Huh? Yeah, well, I guess so. Of course, that vengeance business can be overdone, you know.
You laughing at the word of the Lord?
No. Wait a minute, no! I got back to my camp as fast as I could. If he'd have hit me with that whip of his, he'd have cut me half in two. I don't mind telling you, I ain't never been so scared in all my life. He must have got out in the middle of the night. 'Cause the next morning, I looked around.
Did you see anything?
Yes, I saw a grave. Fresh dug.
Say, Doc, what would you say he was beaten with?
How do you mean?
I mean, a stick or a fist?
Oh, I see what you're driving at. I'd say it was something heavy, soft on the outside that wouldn't scratch or cut.
Like maybe the leather-wrapped handle of a bullwhip?
The leather-wrapped handle of a bullwhip. Yeah, that'll do it.
Should be around here someplace.
The old miner said it was at the foot of some big rocks.
Should be those over there, maybe. Hey, look to the left, under the trees. Come on. Well, there's the other name, Doc.
Yeah? Luke. Same as on the rock. What's it mean, Vint?
I wish I knew. All I know is it's got some connection.
There was only one thing to do, open up the grave.
Can't do that.
I'm deputy coroner of this county. I got the authority.
All right. Looks like we'll have to use our hands. See if we can find a couple of sharp sticks.
Is there?
Nothing but hard ground under that.
What do you figure it means, Vint?
Can't mean but one thing. Someone wants to convince somebody else that Luke, if that's the boy, is dead and buried here.
Wish I could go with you, Vint, but I better get back to that boy. Now, you be careful.
I'll take care. If the sheriff shows up, point him in this direction, will you? I'll leave some sort of sign.
I'll do that. Now, goodbye, Vint.
None of this made much sense. An empty grave, a strange story about a stranger man told by a little old prospector. One thing I did know. The young boy had been beaten half to death. And I was going to find the man who had done it.
Get the water off the back of the wagon, woman. You, boy, tell me again how deep you buried him.
About 3 or 4 feet, Pa. Just like I said.
Still can't see what took you so long, or why you needed a horse.
The ground was real hard, Pa. It was too heavy to carry far.
And the Lord commanded Abraham to bring as a living sacrifice his own son.
Couldn't be too sure, but I guessed it had about a 12-mile start. If I was going to catch up by nightfall, I'd have to take a chance and try shortcuts. That wagon would have to stick to the low ground between the ridges. Scar and I could cross them. That had to be his camp. There wouldn't be anyone in this country except Indians, and they wouldn't be that careless with the smoke. From the distance, I guessed I'd make it just after nightfall.
now have our lesson for the evening. The Lord thy God is a jealous God. He shall put an enmity between thee and woman. He shall multiply thy sorrow. Cursed is the ground for his sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. God knows the wickedness of man, and that the thoughts of his heart are only evil. He will bruise thy head.
I could have sworn I heard something that sounded like preaching. Looked like a peaceable family having a peaceable meal. Threw me some. The wind in these hills plays funny tricks with the sounds of the night.
All right, woman. You two, Mark. 2 lashes each tonight. Was not so bad. For the good of your soul.
Why? I don't understand why.
I don't know quite why, but I decided to do something I'd seen animals do. Pretend I was hurt.
Hello. Stay where you are, stranger. Who are you? What do you want?
My name's Bonner. I saw the smoke from your fire. Thought I'd find some company. My horse threw me this morning. Don't mean to intrude, but if you'd let me use your fire, I could heat up some food. I guess being on the trail alone for a few days gives a man funny fancies. I could have sworn I heard something that sounded like preaching when I was coming up the valley down there.
That was my voice. I carry the word of God.
Well, I'm not going out of my head anyway. Sure didn't figure to run into a preacher on the trail.
I'm not a preacher. I'm God's own man.
Yeah. Well, it didn't sound exactly like regular preaching. Of course, you couldn't tell by me. It's been a long time since I was in church.
I, too, was a lost soul. I, my family, until the word come to me.
When was this?
It was during the war, in which we killed and were killed. It was Antietam, Chickamauga, Gettysburg. It was when the ground was soaked with blood. It was when the hounds of heaven was let loose. It was then that God told me I was his man. And I was to be the instrument of his vengeance and his pain. We're all born in sin. We die in sin. And the only trial of man is pain. More pain.
Sounds right interesting. Though I don't recall the Bible saying it just that way.
Didn't I tell you I was God's own man? I am above the Bible.
I wonder if it'd be too much trouble if I'd bed down over here tonight. Maybe we could continue this talk tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd say that was all right.
Much obliged. I'll just bed down over here in the trees. Firelight keeps me awake. Good night. Was it you that dumped him on the doctor's porch, all beaten up? Answer me. Then it must have been you that buried the log. Would you and your mother like to get out of this? That thing.
I am the Lord God Jehovah. I am
I've lived too close to nature all my life not to know that there's a divine spirit. And I've never seen in nature the cruelty and madness that sometimes comes out in man himself. I wonder why this is true.
to start cooling off about 4 o'clock. We only got about 15 more miles to go to Lead Creek. Yeah, I know. Why go to Lead Creek? There's a job on the railroad there. Laying track to Salt Lake. In the boiling sun. Sure, if either one of us had any sense, we'd be lying up under a porch someplace cooling off. But then we get hungry. So I better find work before I get hungry. I bet there's some hospitable people up there who are just dying to give us both a cold drink of water.
Anybody home? Anybody home?
What do you want?
I didn't mean to frighten you, ma'am.
You didn't. State your business, mister.
My name's Bonner, ma'am.
Well,
Well, I saw your place from up the trail, and I thought...
I got no handouts.
See what you mean. All we wanted was a drink of water.
Well, all right. Over there.
It's good water. You and your husband run this place alone?
I've got no husband. Trouble enough as it is.
Kind of lonely country for a single woman.
That's right, mister. That's what I like about it. You had enough water?
I'd like to fill my canteen. I'm heading toward Lead Creek. I suppose you know the place.
I grew up there.
Nice town? Nice people?
They're the scum of the earth.
Scar, that lady back there wouldn't be so bad looking if she weren't so all-fired determined to be. Living out by herself in the middle of nowhere, suspicious and unfriendly. It's a hard thing not to like anybody, unless you first convince yourself that nobody at all likes you. And that isn't an easy job.
Help! Help! A little accident. Water? Sure. Horse threw me a couple hours ago. I must have landed on my gun. It went off. You're a stranger, aren't you?
Just passing through. You need a good tight bandage on that.
Did you see my pinto? Half moon on his flank?
Put your weight on. My horse will get us to Lead Creek.
Lead Creek. I'll never make it.
It's the closest town.
Cabin. I passed a cabin a mile west. I could ride a mile.
Cabin?
did you come from?
Sorry to trouble you.
You get thirsty again or something?
I ran into a fella down the road. Been shot up pretty bad.
Shot?
Yeah. It says his horse threw him and his gun went off accidental. Seeing as your place was nearest,
Where is he?
I left him on your front porch.
I'll get some water.
Do you know him?
No. Why should I know him? I don't know anybody.
I was just thinking, since he was in the neighborhood.
I don't know everybody that passes by here. I don't know you, mister.
You're doing a nice job. Look, when I get to Lead Creek, I'll send out a doctor.
There isn't any doctor at Lead Creek.
Well, when I get someplace, there is one.
There isn't a doctor within 100 miles of here. I'll look after him myself.
That's very considerate, seeing as he's a stranger.
Help me get them a house, will you? Mr. Bonner, you won't tell folks in town he's here, will you?
Ma'am?
Well, like you said, he's a stranger. He doesn't concern them. And I don't want folks laughing at me in Lead Creek.
Laughing at you?
Well, they'll say Jenny Garver's got herself a man. And if he wasn't unconscious, she never could have done it. Please don't tell them.
Well, I'll not likely be meeting anybody who would ask about him. Good day, ma'am.
What are you looking at?
Those two horses belong to you?
Yes. Yes, they do. Why?
I'm just asking. That Pinto looks like a real good animal. What do you call him?
His name's Moon. There's a marking on his flank. It's like a half moon.
I see. Well, I hope your patient doesn't give you too much trouble. I know just how you feel, son. Back and forth, back and forth. It's kind of tiresome, doesn't it? Well, it's only 6 miles to Lead Creek, so it can't be too long now. Ooh.
You haven't got a chance, Landy. We're all around you. Ned, come on out of there with your hands up.
I'll come out. But I'm not Landy, whoever he is.
Well, I'll be dad-blamed. Looks like we made a little mistake, boys.
I'm glad it was only a little one.
We mistaken you for somebody else. What are you doing out here?
I'm on my way to Lead Creek. Thought I'd get a job on the new railroad there.
I'm Jim York, sheriff around here.
Glad to know you. My name's Bonner, Bent Bonner.
Boys, this is Bent Bonner. This is Sam Norval.
Howdy.
Tom Jackson. Bonner. Harry Potter. Hey, you could maybe help us out, Bent.
What can I do?
We're looking for Ned Landy. That's who we thought you was at first.
What did he do?
Hold-ups, couple of shooting sprees, just one thing after another for the last few months. Last night, he broke into Harry Potter's store here and killed his brother.
Well, that's too bad. I'm sorry.
I took a posse out after him before, but he always manages to get lost in these hills. We picked up his trail this morning. Even seen him for a minute or two over in the backside of Devil's Canyon. Got off a shot. I thought for sure I'd hit him, but I guess not. Anyway, he's give us the slip again.
What does he look like?
About 30 years old, dark, wiry, black hair, rides a Pinto.
Pinto.
Yeah, that... You seen him?
Yes, I think I have.
Where was that?
I left him in the cabin a little ways back. He had a bullet in him. Said he shot himself accidentally when he fell off a horse.
It's him. Only cabin back that way is Jenny Garver's.
That's the name she gave me.
Mm-hmm. All right, boys, let's ride out to Jenny Garver's. Will you ride out with us, Ben?
You won't need my help. He was hurt pretty bad. I doubt if he'll last long enough to get him back to town.
Oh, we'll get him back all right. Old Doc here will fix him up.
Doctor? I understood there weren't any doctors in these parts.
Well, Sam Norval here's a doc. At least that's what he's been telling folk for the last 20 years.
Sheriff, wait. I changed my mind. Think I'll go along with you.
Well, fine, son. Come right along. Landy's hit as bad as you say he is. There ain't no need of whipping the horses. Let's take a little rest, boys. What's so funny, Tom?
I was just thinking about Jenny Garver.
What about Jenny?
Well, she finally got herself a man.
Yeah, but she ain't gonna have him long.
I bet Landy must have been hit pretty bad not to stampede the first time he got a look at her.
I'll tell you one thing, it'd take more than a bullet to keep me there.
Something wrong with Miss Garver?
Well, you seen her, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw her.
Well, ain't she just about the homeliest critter you ever did see?
I'll admit she's no raving beauty. Lots of plain women get along just as good as the pretty ones. Sometimes how a woman looks depends on who's looking at her.
Well, you just wait till you get a good look at this one, friend.
Oh, I never thought Jenny's what you'd call downright ugly. I think it's just she was so darn big and awkward. She always was a fine girl, though.
Yeah, I suppose she was. It's a funny thing about Jenny. Even when she was a little girl back in Lead Creek, she was always taller than the boys her age. And stronger, too.
Except at running. The boys could always run faster. Whenever they seen her coming.
It was a strange thing about her folks. Remember, Jim? They never would admit that there was any difference between her and the other girls. They used to dress her up in fancy clothes, with frills and laces. Made her look twice as peculiar as she did already.
Yeah, I remember.
Her father used to take her to parties and square dances. He was always the only one that would ever dance with her.
It was real pitiful. You know, I don't think there was a boy in town ever courted Jenny. Not one.
Oh, now you can't say that, Sheriff. You're forgetting Will Franklin that time.
You know, I clean forgot about that.
I wouldn't know the joke.
It ain't much of a joke.
Oh, that Will Franklin's quite a cut-up. One time
Let me tell it. You know, this Will Franklin, he made a bet one time with some of the boys. He bet us that he could take her out just one time and talk to her like he was wanting to get married, and she'd jump at it just like that.
That's the kind Will Franklin was.
It was the funniest thing I ever did see. There they was sitting in the wagon, and him a-talking so solemn you'd have thought he was courting Lily Langtree. Well, he no more than popped the question when she says, "Oh yes, Will." Well, what she didn't know was we was all hiding in the back of the wagon underneath a bed of straw. Well, when she said, "Oh, yes, Will," like that, well, we all busted up a laughing and a hollering, and we was carrying on like that.
Seems to me that was right after her folks died, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about 5 years ago. She couldn't have been more than 20 at the time.
It was right after that. She packed up everything and moved out here all by herself.
I tell you, it was a dilly when we all popped up behind her in that wagon. I wish you could have been there and seen her face. Oh, like...
Just as glad I wasn't.
All right, let's move on. We've got other pleasant little chores to do.
Oh, okay.
Better leave the horses here.
Sheriff, Landy's not liable to give you any trouble.
You never can tell. You may be feeling a little better by now.
Not that much better.
He's seen us.
Guess he wasn't as sick as you thought. Hold your fire, Tom. Never be able to hit him from here.
You suppose the Garver girl is all right?
Probably just scared half to death. Well, looks like we're gonna have to rush him.
That's going to take some doing.
Here's what we'll do. You and Harry see if you can get to that fence down yonder. When you hear me fire twice, that'll be the signal for us to close in.
Hold it. Look, if we go plowing up the front of that cabin, it's liable to get real messy around here.
Well, you've been shot at before, ain't you?
Not by preference. I don't exactly make it a hobby.
What do you got in mind?
There's a back door to that house. A couple of trees for cover, too.
Landy'll be watching that back door. He's no fool.
We could give it a try.
All right. I'll go with you.
No, I'd rather go alone. It's easier to hide one than two. Besides, I'm responsible for you coming up here without being more careful. You just give me some fire to cover my approach to that back door.
All right, Vint.
I'm not back in 5 minutes. Do it your way.
5 minutes. That's all the longer we'll wait. Protect yourselves, boys.
Jenny.
You told them. You brought them here.
I had to, Jenny.
You had to. I could have taken him away somewhere when he was just a little stronger. That's all they want, isn't it? To get rid of him? You could have kept on riding. Never given us another thought. Why couldn't you let us alone?
Jenny, Ned killed a man in town last night.
I don't care. I don't care what he's done. I'm going to stay with him as long as he needs me.
You've kept him here all these months, haven't you? His pony knew right where to come. They're starting to close in on you, Jenny.
You're not going to take him away from me. He's my man, Mr. Bonner, and he needs me and he loves me. No one's ever needed me before. No one's ever loved me before. He doesn't think I'm ugly. He doesn't laugh at me. Do you know, even my mother told me I was going to be an old maid. Well, I won't. We're going to get out of this. And he's going to take me away from here and we're going to get married.
Jenny, listen to me.
I won't listen. I won't let you or anyone else take him away from me. Not if I have to kill you.
Ned can't use your help anymore, Jenny. He's dead. He was dead when I came in the house.
Oh, you're lying to me.
He's dead.
Well, we're sure much obliged to you, Mr. Bonner.
Don't thank me. It was your bullet that did it this afternoon.
Well, I'll be son of a gun. I knew I'd hit him. Remember, Tom? I told you.
Yeah, you sure did. Mr. Bonner here said he was hit bad. What I can't figure is how he was able to hold us off in there.
Oh, them Landys always was pretty tough people, and I guess Ned just took after the rest of them. He just wouldn't give up till the strain of shooting at us probably done him in. That about the way you figured, Mr. Bonner?
That sounds about right.
Well,
I wouldn't go in for a while. Jenny Garver's kind of shaken up by all this.
Oh, yeah, I plumb forgot. She was right there in the middle of everything.
Give her a little time to kind of get herself together.
Yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting how women folk are. A little bit of gunfire in the neighborhood, and they just go all to pieces. That just goes to show you. You get right down to it, they're all pretty much alike.
Yeah. Guess you're right, Sheriff.
Are you all right, Jenny?
I will be, Mr. York.
Sure you will, Jenny. All that shooting's bound to get on a woman's nerves.
This ain't no place for a young girl, Jenny, way out here.
That's right. You ought to move back where you'll have some neighbors.
Thank you, Mr. York. But I won't be going alone. Will you help me, Mr. Bonner?
I'll be glad to, Jenny.
I'm taking him back to town with me.
Since the Indian uprisings. It's a beautiful country down that way, but mighty empty and mighty lonely. Along about noon, I was beginning to figure I'd got myself lost. The sign said Minton, all right, but it didn't show which way. I looked over and Scar was headed southeast, so that's the way we went. Maybe Scar'd smelled water because we hadn't gone more than a mile when we saw a house. An old ranch house, just about 1,000,000 miles from nowhere.
Hello? Anybody home?
you're so stingy with your water. I'll leave if you'll show yourself.
You can leave right now, mister.
Well, now, just a minute, ma'am.
I mean it. Strangers are not welcome here.
I kind of got that idea. I don't mean you any harm, ma'am.
What are you doing here?
I'm on my way to Minton.
You came the wrong way.
I know, but the sign was down at the fork a ways back. It'd be closer for me to go ahead than to turn back, wouldn't it?
Mister, I don't care which way you go, just so you go.
I'll go. I'd feel a lot safer if you'd put that gun down. You don't have any cause to shoot me, ma'am. I'm on my way to Minton to buy cattle. My name's Bonner, Vint Bonner.
Vint Bonner? Were you ever in the army?
Yes, ma'am. I served as a scout with the cavalry, but that was some time ago.
I think I've heard my husband speak of you. I'm Hannah Guilford.
General Guilford's wife? I knew the general. I was with him at Fort Clark just before...
I realize I've been rude, but I need someone to help me.
I'll do what I can.
Then I wonder if you could stay here for a while. Oh, I won't keep you long. Just have a meal with us and talk. It would do the general so much good.
Oh, ma'am, the general was killed.
I know he would be pleased to see an old friend. You can't imagine what it's like to be alone all the time.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I just don't understand. I thought...
You thought the general was dead. I know. That's what everyone thinks. But it isn't true.
But the Fort Clark massacre...
General Guilford was not killed at the Fort Clark massacre.
The Cheyennes slaughtered the garrison down to the last man.
They did not kill my husband. Don't you think I ought to know?
I'm sorry, ma'am. It just doesn't seem possible.
I thought you'd understand. But you're just like all the others.
I'm sorry.
Just go away, Mr. Bonner. Water your horse and go.
When I got to Minton, I knew I had to locate Joe Kennedy, the cattle dealer. But first, there was a little more I wanted to know about Hannah Guilford. So I stopped at the place that can generally answer my questions about a town.
Yes, I know how you feel, Mr. Bonner. It's mighty sad about Hannah Guilford. Mighty sad.
I sat through that army hearing myself, all of it. Not one man got out of the fort alive.
Well, everyone in Minton knows that. Everyone except the general's widow.
Well, can't anyone make her understand?
Yeah, people have tried. I've tried. Yeah, she just flies off the handle, just like she did with you. Bob Price there works for Joe Kennedy.
Took a shot at you, did you, mister? Guess old Hannah's back on the firing range again.
Well, I don't think it's that funny, friend.
Well, we were warned to steer clear of Widow Guilford. Reckon you should do the same. You looking for Kennedy?
Yeah. Know where I can find him?
Keep an eye on Hannah's range.
What? Yes. Town has to have someone to laugh at. Hannah Guilford is a good target. I guess I'm about the only person she sees now. I go out there every month or so and take a load of provisions. I said to her, look, Hannah, if the general's alive, let me speak to him. Show me. Well, and she'd try. Poor woman would take me into the house. There wasn't another living soul within miles of that place. Not a single living soul.
Best thing for me to do is to get my mind on something else. See about the cattle I'd come for.
This Bonner's the latest one that's happened to. In 5 minutes, Hannah took 2 shots at him, asked him into the house for dinner, and then slammed the door in his face. I think I've got a right to know, Sheriff, just what you're going to do about her.
I got no grounds to do anything, Kennedy. You know that.
When she starts shooting at people, it's time to clear her out of there.
Hi, Bert.
Bonner!
Good to see you, Vint. What brings you to Minton?
Cattle. I'm looking for a man named Joe Kennedy.
You found him.
I'm Kennedy. Oh, glad to know you, Mr. Bonner.
Glad to know you, Mr. Kennedy.
Everyone's heard of the six-shooter. How many head are you in the market for?
Well, first I'd like to see what you've got.
Oh, not too many and not too fat. Grazing land's been pretty dry. But why not come out to the ranch in the morning and have a look?
Thanks, I'll do that. Did I hear mention of a little problem when I came in?
Afraid you stirred up a hornet's nest, Vint, stumbling onto the widow Guilford the way you did.
I hope I wasn't the means of causing her any trouble.
Nobody wants to cause her any trouble, Mr. Bonner. But if she's starting to get violent...
More than likely I frightened her coming up on us suddenly like that.
I've got some grazing land next to that ranch of hers. My boys have to work out there. I wouldn't want any of them getting shot.
Sure you don't want me to run her out, Kennedy, so you can take over her ranch? It would fit in pretty well with that spread of yours.
Oh, I don't deny that I could use it. In fact, I offered her $6,000 for it. A run-down place like that. If she wouldn't take that kind of money, she's got to be out of her head. Now take what she did to you.
She didn't cause me any harm, Mr. Kennedy.
Hannah Guilford may be hard to understand at times, but she's the widow of a mighty fine man. The general died defending his territory. If it hadn't have been for men like him, the Cheyennes would have burnt this town to the ground long ago.
That may well be. But his widow's still a dangerous woman. I'll see you in the morning, Mr. Bonner.
Right. Looks like everybody in town's got pretty strong opinions about Hannah Guilford. One way or the other. I didn't know exactly what I thought I could do. But before seeing Joe Kennedy in the morning, I wanted to have a talk with General Guilford's widow. I figured she'd heard me right up. When I reached the porch, I heard something that made my flesh crawl.
William, if you'll sit quietly, I'll read to you. I don't want to argue anymore. You must try to understand. I thought Mr. Bonner would be a welcome guest. I meant you no harm, Will. I'll read to you from the book of Proverbs. Who's there? Answer me. Who is it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, Mr. Bonner. What are you doing here? I don't like people crying.
I just came to pay you a little visit. I know how it is to be lonely.
Well, that's very kind of you, but...
May I come in?
Very well, if you like. It's plain, but it's my home.
I see.
I'm afraid you got a poor impression of me today. But there's no reason to worry, really.
I heard you talking to someone when I came up.
Talking to someone? Oh, no.
I was sure.
You heard me reading. I often sit by myself and read in the evenings.
I see.
I get very lonely to hear a human voice. So I sit here and read.
At the table?
Yes, by the light. Don't you believe me?
Yes, ma'am. I believe you read by the table.
You see, there's nothing to worry about. I'm perfectly all right.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night, Mr. Bonner.
By 11 next morning, I'd pretty much finished my business with Kennedy. Like he said, his cattle weren't much to look at. And there weren't but a few I liked well enough to buy.
How do they look to you?
I can use about 50 head.
50?
That's about it.
Andy and his men will be along in a few days to drive them north.
All right. But it's hardly worth the trouble.
What's this? Looks a little like a posse.
Maybe that's just what it is.
Who are you after?
General Guilford's widow.
Don't you think that...
Now look, Bonner, this don't concern you. You don't have to work out there. My men do. You can forget about it when she threatened you with a gun. We don't intend to.
I was out there last night. She seemed fine.
We've had 5 years of it. Time we put a stop to it.
Don't you think that's a job for the sheriff?
Bert Jessup won't raise a finger. It's up to us.
And Hannah Guilford.
We're not going to hurt her. All we intend to do is to send her somewhere where she'll be cared for and not bother anybody.
Where's that?
The state home up at Capital City. And nobody's going to stop us.
I never did believe in ghosts, and I wasn't about to begin. Please don't, General.
You're Brent Bonner, aren't you? Why couldn't it have been someone else? Why did it have to be you?
I don't know what you're trying to do, but I came here to warn your wife.
Warn Hannah?
Yes, there's trouble coming. I thought she ought to know.
Well, there was no... Mr. Bonner, why can't you leave us alone?
I don't mean to bother you, ma'am.
It's all right, Hannah.
It was bound to happen sooner or later. Well, it's for the best. Don't you see that?
I don't know.
What are you going to do with us?
I want to help you. There's some men coming from town to
Do what?
send you away. Seems you've got the whole town of Mitten thinking you're a dangerous and violent woman.
Send me away?
To the state home. I don't know what you and the general hope to accomplish by all this, but whatever it is, your time's running out.
Well, you'll have to help me. Well, please, it's time to face the truth.
Face the truth. How do you do that? How do you go for years hiding something inside yourself, and then one afternoon let it all come out into the sunlight? How do you do that?
Are you sure you have something to hide, General?
Am I sure? I've had time to make certain, wouldn't you say? I thought in time people would forget.
I tried and tried to make him see. A man can't bury himself, wish himself dead.
I know, Hannah. I know you did all you could. This is your reward. They think you're a dangerous woman.
What else could they think? But I was willing to let them think anything. If you wanted it that way, Will. I wasn't looking for any reward.
I know, my dear. I've made you pay a terrible price for loyalty.
Not just for loyalty.
I know you wondered my reasons for all this.
Yes, sir. I do.
Did you ever do something that suddenly made you realize you weren't fit to live any longer? How would it sit with you to know that I was nowhere near Fort Clark when it was attacked? I'd been sick for weeks. The time came when I couldn't stand it any longer. The medical corpsmen at the fort couldn't help me. I thought it would be safe to chance a trip to a doctor. Safe. Half the Cheyenne tribe just over the hills, and I thought it would be safe.
But you didn't know.
I should have known. I knew the Indians wanted that fort. A good commander would have known where and when they would attack. They saw me go. When I left the fort, there were 3 of them on a hill over the trail. Those 3 Indians were Cheyenne scouts. They saw the commanding general leave the fort. 3 hours later, they attacked.
General, that's not the reason.
When I learned, I went back and I saw every single man killed. Everyone burned, mutilated.
William, please.
And the finest part of my triumph, when I tried to report, they were saying I was a hero. I had made the great sacrifice. The gallant commander died at the head of his garrison. I couldn't face anyone after that. I came back here to die. I've been dead ever since.
Mr. Brown, some men are riding toward the house.
Mrs. Guilford!
I'm afraid they mean business.
I'll talk to them. What do you want?
Thought we'd like to have a little talk with you, Hannah.
What about?
You know me, don't you? Joe Kennedy?
Of course I know you. But I'm busy now.
Hannah, we came all the way out here just to see you. You know we're only interested in your welfare.
Well, that's very kind of you, but...
I'm not going to hurt you. Not a bit. Now, Hannah, I want you to hear me out carefully. Now, all we're thinking about is what's best for you. You know that, don't you?
Well, yes.
Sure you do. The point is, Hannah, it's not good for you to live this way.
I'm perfectly happy.
But it isn't right. You've got to be where people can care for you, where you won't be alone.
I'm not alone.
Do you know what they're doing to your wife out there?
Hannah's very loyal. She's
Loyal? What kind of a price does she have to pay for her loyalty? You not only buried yourself, you buried your wife with you. Now you go out there to her. Stand up.
You know that's not true. That's what you've got to understand, Hannah.
Let go.
The general's not here. He was killed in that massacre.
Let go my arm, Mr. Kennedy.
Bob!
Will!
Honest, no use
Will,
to
come
fight.
help me!
We're going to take him.
Will! Will, come show
Will
him!
can't help you. He's dead.
He's not dead.
Settle down, Hannah.
Help me! Will! William! William!
Settle down, Hannah.
Help me!
Nobody's gonna harm you.
Gentlemen. Leave my wife alone. There's no reason for my wife to be tormented, gentlemen. Not any longer.
Put it away, Price. You won't have an easy time of it for a while, sir, but there's one thing you've got to remember. No one blames you.
I know better, Bent.
I'm telling you the truth. The Army held an investigation of the Fort Clark massacre 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Did you see the testimony?
I was there. I heard it. That's why I know you were cleared. Even if you hadn't left the fort, the Indians would have destroyed it. They came in from the north in greater numbers than ever before. The court agreed it was only because of the defenses that you erected that it held out as long as it did. Otherwise, the Indians would surely have gone on to burn Minton.
You see, William, you did save the town.
In the eyes of everyone concerned, you're a hero, alive or dead.
Thank you, Mr. Bonner.
I'll be going along.
Can't you stay with us for a while?
You'll have plenty of company. Both of you. The storekeeper was right. A town has to have someone to laugh at. But it needs someone to admire, too. And once they got to know each other, Minton would be looking up to the general the way it always had. And to the general's wife. Come fall, unless your roots are anchored deep, it doesn't take much of a wind to start you rolling on. And me and the tumbleweeds have this in common. We're rooted shallow. It was late October, the sun was still hot, but the nights were getting an edge to them. And wedges of geese lined the sky at sunup. Guess I was following them south. Yeah, boy. Mister, I wonder if you'd... Mister!
Well, howdy. Hey, let me give you a hand. I walked to before, but I didn't see you come up.
Oh. All right.
That's real good. Much obliged. Well, let's see if we can find a shoe to fit you.
Hey, he looks like he's throwed a shoe.
Yeah, about 5 miles back up the road.
No use yelling. He's deaf as a post.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, being deaf has its points, especially when you're married to a woman who rattles on the way I've been doing for the last 50 years. Maybe that's why he lost his hearing, so he wouldn't have to listen to me. Anyways, we made it to our golden anniversary, and we still enjoy having each other around.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Clay,
Yeah.
I got you a present.
A present for me? Ain't gold, is it? No, Emily, what did I ever do to deserve this?
Just gold-plated for our golden anniversary.
What's that you're saying?
Our golden anniversary.
Oh, our golden anniversary. And I clean forgot.
You'd forget your head if it wasn't tied on. Maybe you just don't want to remember how long it's been. But I do, Mr. Davis, because they've been good years, every one of them.
What's that you're saying?
Nothing. How do you like your belt?
Well, Emily, it's real pretty. But what you should have bought me is one of them there ear trumpets.
All aboard! We're moving out, folks. All aboard!
Throw the box down.
Nothing in it worth stealing.
I'll be the best judge of that. Throw it down. Now your gun.
Gold buckle, huh? I'll take that too. Pull it off. I said, give me the belt.
He can't hear you. He's deaf.
Get over here.
Don't touch my money!
Come on.
Oh, my darling. Oh.
Haven't you done enough?
I'd seen the geese flying south, and listening to them talking to each other, I thought of what that lady had said about being deaf, and how maybe it has its points. And I wanted to tell her how wrong she was.
Hold it! Kid, he's covered.
Yeah, but why?
Ah, there were two of you. Where's your partner?
There's supposed to be someone else?
Don't be funny. We want straight answers, and we want them mighty quick.
Kit Springer, isn't it? That any way to say hello?
Bonner? Then Bonner?
Sure. Why don't you put that thing down and have a cup of coffee?
Well, Vince, what a sight for sore eyes. Put it away, Lex.
You mean you know this fella?
Know him? Why, he and I rode the Bitterroot Range together.
Sorry, we didn't know it was you.
Who did you have in mind?
You see, we're members of a posse. A couple of boys held up the stage last night.
A couple of boys? How did you figure on me? I'm all alone except for my horse Sky here.
You could have split up.
No, men on the run ain't apt to do that. Well, does the order for coffee still hold?
Sure, help yourself. You say they held up a stage.
Yeah.
Could have been the one I saw pulling out of Cottonwood yesterday.
Yeah, more likely. There was some shooting. One of the passengers got himself shot. There you are, Lex. Good and hot.
Thank you.
You know which one it was?
It was some old man. He didn't do what they told him to do, on account of he was stone deaf.
Oh, that's too bad. Poor fella. How about his wife?
Nobody hurt her. Just the old man. Oh, this is my brother, Lex. You know, he was just a kid when you and I were riding the Bitterroot Range.
Hi.
Sheriff at Cottonwood. He grabbed a couple of dozen boys and swore us in as a posse. That's why we took a shot at you. We're sorry.
It's all right with me, as long as you missed. Where's the rest of your posse?
With the sheriff. He thinks the killers are headed for Patch Canyon. We don't see it that way.
No, we figured that they would head for the South Pass. Because if they made it, they'd be in the clear, with nobody between them and the border.
Sounds reasonable.
Well, not so reasonable now we run into you. That is, unless you've seen somebody pass during the night.
Only thing I saw was a flight of geese.
Well, I reckon our hunch was wrong. Because they would have to come right by here. This is the only trail, isn't it?
That's right. Of course, I've had my fire burning for a couple of hours. They could have seen it and gone around.
Well, yeah, that's right, Kit. They could have. Maybe our hunch is right yet.
Well, that's no good, even if it is. Because, you see, we don't know the route from here on in. We've never been through the pass.
I thought you boys said you were from Cottonwood.
No. No, we were on our way through Cottonwood when the sheriff grabbed us and put us in the posse. We're from up north, Fort Drexel way.
Yeah. Say, you come through Cottonwood, Bonner. You must be heading south, huh?
That's right, I am.
Well, looks like we hit it lucky, Kit. That is, if you don't mind us riding with you.
It's all right with me. Come along. But you sure are going a long way just playing a hunch. It's over a day's travel here through the pass, and you have no assurance that the fellas you're looking for took this trail.
Yeah, we know that, Vance. But for $1,500, we can spare the time. That's the reward they're offering.
1,500. That's worth taking some time for.
If the posse catches them, that money will be split 40 ways to breakfast. But if we catch them, see what I mean?
Sure. You split it 2 ways.
3, if you're along, Vance. That's 500 apiece.
I'm afraid I can't count that high.
Then you'll take us through the pass.
Sure, since I'm traveling south anyway.
All right, let's get started.
You bring up your horses, and I'll straighten out my gear.
Wasn't much of a trail, just a little rocky path that wound up the mountain. It was hard riding, too. I had to hand it to the Springer brothers, though. They never complained. I'd taken this route before, so I knew what to expect. But it was all new to them.
What are we stopping for?
Give the horses some rest. They need it. I'm afraid you fellas are in for a bit of a disappointment.
Oh, about what?
About that $1,500. Hasn't been anybody along this way for 2-3 days. Not since it rained, anyway.
Oh, well, men on the run, they wouldn't leave tracks if they didn't have to, and they wouldn't have to here. They could go around, you know.
Yeah, have you seen any tracks?
I've been so busy riding, I haven't had time to look.
Me neither.
Well, I've been doing enough looking for the 3 of us.
Well, maybe somehow they got ahead of us.
In that case, there wouldn't be much sense in you fellas going on, would there?
What do you think, Lex?
I'd sure hate to turn back now.
Well, why don't you ride up the trail and look for tracks, and I'll climb up here and look back where we've been, huh?
Right.
While you're gone, I'll make us a pot of coffee.
It's too hot for coffee. Don't light a fire.
Oh, it won't take a minute.
I said don't light a fire. I mean, it's just that it's too hot.
I see. Well, maybe you're right. For a big man, you move awful quiet, kid.
I didn't know you were asleep. I didn't mean to wake you. I just wanted to borrow some of that water.
Sure. Help yourself.
Thanks.
You spot anything from up there?
No, not a soul. Did you pick up any tracks?
Oh, there's nothing but rocks up ahead. Oh, I could use some of that. Sure is hot.
You think this is bad? There's about 10 miles up ahead that's nothing but rocks and rattlesnakes.
Well, does it get better after that?
Sure. But by that time, a man's too beat to care. If I were you boys, I'd turn back to Cottonwood.
Well, we've come this far. We might as well go the rest of the way.
Suit yourself. That's a nice-looking belt you're wearing.
Huh?
That belt. I don't think I ever saw one like it. Is it gold?
Oh, yeah. Mex. Got it in Nogales.
Thought you fellas said you were from up north.
Well, we drift a lot. You know, jobs ain't easy to find.
Oh. Sure is a nice belt. Too bad you got it all spotted up there.
Spotted up?
Yeah, looks like dried blood.
That's what it is, all right. I cut my wrist a few days back. Bled all over myself. I'll probably have a heck of a time getting that thing clean.
Yeah, blood stains are apt to be kind of permanent. Too bad. Nice buckle.
Well, if we're going, we'd better get started.
Yeah, guess you're right.
Looks like there's 3 of them now. They must have picked up someone on the trail.
Well, for his sake, I hope he's a friend of the Springer boys.
Why did you tell him that cock and bull story about your wrist? He keeps trying to get a look at your hand.
Well, I had to tell him something.
Well, keep your paws out of sight. Are you still looking for tracks?
No, I'm looking for the trail.
I thought you knew your way around here.
I thought so, too.
Well, we're never going to catch them at this rate.
You're the fellas trying to make the 1,500, not me. Hey, Lex, you happen to have a knife? I gotta make a hole in the cinch.
Sure. Yeah, looks like it's fixing to rain.
It's probably raining down there already.
If it does, we'll never find those tracks. The rain will cover them.
The only tracks on this trail are gonna cover will be ours. We better be getting on. Oh. I almost forgot to give you your knife back. Say, you're bleeding again.
Yeah? Dang thing keeps breaking open.
Yeah.
I was easy in my mind again for the first time in hours, not afraid to turn my back on them anymore. I guess they were what they seemed to be, 2 harebrained saddle tramps down on their luck, chasing a rainbow.
Run back, which way would you go?
Not over the South Pass, that's for certain sure. Too tough a trail. Longer to the border that way, but a lot faster, safer, and easier to follow.
You're forgetting one thing. The Springer boys don't know this country.
We're both forgetting something. They picked somebody up along the way. That somebody couldn't know where he was going.
Right. Let's take the South Pass.
Lay off. You want him to get suspicious again?
If he does, it'll be the last time. We don't need him anymore. He's taken us far enough.
He still hasn't said which way the pass is or how far.
Get him to say it. We ought to be moving on and fast.
Now, you think it's so easy, you get him to say it yourself. Moon ought to be out pretty soon.
About an hour or so.
Think it'll give out much light?
Maybe.
Up to see by?
See what?
Well, you said we were almost through the pass.
We still got some ways to go.
Well, why did we stop here? The horses could have felt their way.
Simmer down, kid. You're not going to find those men you were looking for. Posse probably caught them hours ago.
Maybe. And maybe not. I'm still playing my hunch.
Any towns up ahead, Bonner?
English Creek, if you want to call that a town.
People live there, don't they?
Hmm.
That case, maybe somebody's seen those men we're chasing.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow morning. Look, if you fellas are so anxious, why don't you go on ahead? I'll tell you the trail. The Trail's pretty good from here to the timberline. You get to the timberline, cross a patch of shale, about 100 yards or so. Then you take a sharp left-hand turn and go straight up. There's a cairn, a pile of stones there to mark the place. Don't miss it, you'll wind up at the foot of a cliff. And at the top of the ridge, you go a couple miles further, and it should be smooth sailing. That is, if you're still in one piece.
Well, Vince, you've sold us.
On what?
About waiting until daylight.
You sure changed your mind fast, but you're smart.
Well, now, look, we're going to shove off early. Now that we know the way, there's no reason for you to get over the chickens, unless you just want to.
That's all right with me. I'm in no hurry.
Well, you'll still come in for the $500, though, as soon as we collect.
Don't mind about that. Like I said, I was going south anyway. It's kind of funny you fellows never went through South Pass before.
What's so funny about it?
Well, you were telling me about all that drifting around.
Never been down this way before.
By the way, who is the sheriff of Cottonwood?
Now, what difference does that make?
I was just trying to remember.
We don't remember his name, Bonner. There wasn't time for any formal knockdown. Folks just called him sheriff.
Well, if I'm still asleep when you boys take off, so long and good luck.
Thanks,
As far as I could tell, they hadn't been lying to me. A man could join up with the posse and not find out the sheriff's name. And I guess a man could ride himself half to death on the off chance of earning a $1,500 reward, if he had a mind to. Of course, Kit's hunch about those outlaws using South Pass for a getaway hadn't worked out. Or had it?
Got into you. You had your chance. He was asleep. Why couldn't you do it?
Well, he may have been asleep, but I could see his gun belt sticking out from under the blanket.
Could see his gun belt. You mean you were just looking for an out, any kind of out? Well, not me.
Look, let's go and leave him be. He can be plenty of trouble.
You gone clear yellow or something? He knows our names, what we look like. How long before he figures we were $1,500, alive or dead?
You had to go and kill that old man. He only had a few more years to live, and you had to go and kill him.
All those years of hard times, they sure turned you soft, didn't they, brother? Soft and clear yellow.
You got him! Kid! Kid? Kid? You live, Vince, so stop fussing. What are you doing way out here, Doc? You just stay put till I finish here. Ain't no law saying a doctor can't go along with a posse, is there? Figured somebody was going to get shot, only I didn't count on it being you.
Neither did I. I hit one of them. Missed the other, I think.
You missed him all right, but you sure scared daylights out of his horse. That critter come down the trail like heck wouldn't have it. When we tried to head him off by firing a shot at him, he went over the cliff. Springer tried to jump clear, but he couldn't seem to tear himself loose from the saddle.
This is why. He got hooked over the saddle horn. The horse drug him down the side of the mountain. He was dead before we could get to him. The young one killed the old man for this when they held up the stagecoach.
Yeah, I talked to the widow. She gave it to him for their 50th wedding anniversary.
Bonner, you're $1,500 richer.
Gold plate. Worth maybe $2, $3. 50 years. Sheriff, would you send that reward money to the old man's widow?
Salt Lick wasn't much different from any one of 100 small, dried-up cow towns in the West. It was just harder to get to. I'd push Scar all day through country that wasn't fit for prairie dogs. And thinking about that 50-mile ride back to Cooper City tomorrow didn't make either one of us feel any better.
That you, McCall?
No, McCall's sick. He sent me instead.
Who are you?
It's Bonner, Sheriff. Vint Bonner.
Well, Vin, I'm glad to see you. You know what kind of job this is, don't you?
Yeah. I'm supposed to take a man back to Cooper City to be hung.
That's partly right. But this ain't a man. He's a cold-blooded murderer.
I've met that kind before.
Not like this one, you ain't. Not like Ransom Khalil. He's the hardest, meanest, lowest form of humanity I ever come in contact with inside jail or out.
Well, mean or not, I've still got to take him to Cooper City.
I don't envy your job, Vint. I suppose you got the papers?
Right here. There's a warrant for his transfer and my identification as temporary deputy.
This could be more temporary than you think. Would you like to meet him?
Tomorrow will be soon enough. I'd like to get over to the hotel and get a meal and a good night's rest. My horse is tired, too.
I think you ought to meet him tonight, just in case you don't show tomorrow morning. I'll understand why.
Is he all that tough?
He's that tough. Bedrock, nothing else.
Let's meet him.
Khalil.
What do you want?
How'd you like to meet the man that's going to take you back to Cooper City?
I already met McCall.
But this ain't McCall.
The game's on me, Sheriff.
Well, look at him. Sheriff McCall wasn't able to make it himself, so he sent Mr. Bonner here in his place.
It's 50 miles to Cooper City, Mr. Bonner.
You can take it one of two ways. Riding a horse or being dragged by one.
Real tough, ain't you? Real tough, 'cause you got the law behind you.
I'd just as soon take you back dead as alive. I knew the storekeeper you murdered. He was a quiet, harmless man.
I heard all about it. He had a wife and 4 kids. Anything else you gotta tell me?
No. Nothing else.
You see what I mean?
I see what you mean. He's the kind that doesn't bend.
That's Khalil. He'll never bend.
He'll break.
What?
When the pressure gets too tight, he'll break.
Not Khalil.
Maybe, maybe not.
Vince, while you're getting room over at the hotel, I'll take your horse down to the stable and see that he's curried and fed.
Drop around later.
And I'll do that, and I'll buy you a drink. Because you're taking a load off my back. A big one. Well, you can't stand on one leg. Drink up, I'll buy another one.
That one's enough. It's a long ride tomorrow. I'll need all the rest I can get.
Howdy, Sheriff.
Hello, hello.
Is this the fellow who's taking ransom Khalil back to Cooper City?
You see how that kind of news travels? What about it?
Oh, nothing, Sheriff, nothing. Only I was just wondering where I could find Khalil's woman.
Well, I guess she's around town, all right.
Sheriff! Even if she is Khalil's gal, I'd give every ounce of dust I ever mined to have her look at me once. Just once. The way she looked at Khalil. Never could figure out what she seen in that cuss, that sour puss. He just as soon kick a woman as kiss him.
Well, I guess some heifers just ain't choosy about the pastures they roam, huh?
Well, this one can roam my pasture any time of the day, Sheriff. Any season of the year. Valia's her name. The prettiest little trick you ever did see. Skin the color of ivory, and her hair was just as black as...
Oh, Tyler, I think you better stick around civilization for a while. You're getting balmy wandering around the desert all the time.
Balmy, you call it? I just wish I was 20 years younger. I show you, I'd go after that black-haired little gal and I did. That's what I do.
Howdy.
You want to get yourself killed?
Not for a spell yet. Oh, do you mind if I put my hands down, Sheriff?
Sure. And I'm not the sheriff. You'd be Valia.
Yeah, I'm Valia. You, got anything to eat around here?
Sorry.
Ain't had a square meal since that skunk Khalil got himself thrown in jail.
There's a place downstairs. I'll stake you to a meal.
Well, now. You're a gentleman. That's what you are, a real gentleman.
How'd you get in here?
Just walked in. I saw you on the street talking to the sheriff. Figured you'd stay here. It's the only hotel in town. I asked the clerk for your room number.
I'll stake you to a meal, but you're walking out.
You mean you want me to go?
That's the idea.
I don't have any place to go. I can't go back to my folks where they'd tan my hide. I don't know where they are anyway.
What about Khalil?
I wouldn't ask him for anything. I wouldn't touch $1 million gold if that skunk had anything to do with him.
I was told you were fond of him.
I was. Oh, I'd be glad to see him swing. You know what he did? He's got some money hid. You think he'd tell me? No, sir. Said if he couldn't spend any of it, neither could I. He wouldn't care if I starved.
What did you expect to find here?
You. Just you. I know a lot about you, Mr. Bonner. I know you're tough, but you ain't mean. I know you're taking Khalil back to Cooper City where they're gonna hang him. And when they hang Khalil, there'll be nobody.
I'll be all alone. I'm Khalil's woman. Know what that means? I'd be willing to kill anyone who tried to hurt him.
Come in.
Say, Vet. Hey, see, you had company.
Khalil's girl.
Did she do that?
Just a scratch.
You know something? She's just as bad as he is.
Tell you one thing. She loves him.
Yeah?
Well, that's no crime, is it, Sheriff?
No, but what she done to your shoulder is, I'll scour the town and throw her into jail.
Forget it.
What'd you say?
I said forget it. As long as I don't press charges, you can't put her in jail.
But I don't want her in this town.
She won't be long after Khalil lives. As long as he's here, she'll be thinking up schemes to get him out. By the way, Sheriff, who's minding the jail?
Hey. All right, Khalil, let's get going.
Why? I ain't interested in rushing this thing.
Come on, stalling ain't gonna get you nothing. Let's get moving.
Suppose we give him a little time to finish his breakfast.
I ain't asked anything from you, mister.
You're not getting anything, except one more minute with that.
And that could be the last breakfast you ever gonna eat.
I'm through. Lots of things can happen in 50 miles. I'm ready whenever you are, mister.
I'm ready.
I guess this girl's given up, Vint. But you keep an eye peeled just the same, and not alone for her. I understand a few renegade Apaches broke out the reservation and are prowling south.
I heard that before I left Cooper City.
Well, it's your show from here on out. Good luck to you, Vint.
Thanks. So long, Sheriff. Move out. Not easy to eat with those things on your wrist.
Hear me complaining?
I'll take them off if you promise not to try anything.
Promise to kill you first chance I get.
Guess they stay on, then. Hold it.
about something, mister?
Not particular.
I know different. I heard what Jernigan said back in Salt Lake about those renegade Apaches being on the prowl.
We'll rest the horses a while. I said we'd rest the horses. Get off. Over there.
You sure picked the place, mister.
What's wrong with it?
Them Indians could be anywhere in them hills, waiting to pick us off.
Are you thinking about it? I was wondering if you thought about anything, Khalil.
I can think as clear as the next man. Only difference between me and them, they ain't got my kind of guts.
No man's made of iron.
Look, I know what's waiting for me in Cooper City. All right, so it's gonna happen. That's all there is to it.
I wasn't thinking about Cooper City. I was wondering about those Indians. What would happen if they came down?
Well, if they come down, I can take it here. Same as in Cooper City.
Here, have a drink.
I ain't ask you for nothing, mister.
Have a drink. We're gonna be here a while.
You're wondering about me, ain't you, mister? You're wondering that maybe down deep there might be some of me and you. And everybody. Scares you a little, don't it, mister?
I wouldn't trade places with you.
You'll get yours. You see, you and me are more alike than you care to admit. I just had the guts to stand up and take what I wanted. You'd do the same if you thought you could get away with it.
No one ever bothered to tell you the difference between what's right and what's wrong.
What's right and what's wrong? Now there's a laugh. I guess even that measly storekeeper was right according to the way you look at it.
He was a family man. He wasn't doing anyone any harm.
He was greedy, like a weasel's greedy. Buying at one price, selling at another, hoarding his money.
You're not even faintly sorry you killed him, are you?
I'm just sorry I got caught.
What about his wife and children?
They're none of my outlook.
Khalil, you deserve to be hanged.
I ain't begged for nothing, have I? I ain't weaseled or broke. Hang? Hang and be damned.
Get on your horse. On your horse. You know, Khalil, you judge by a yardstick you don't use on yourself.
Yeah? What's that supposed to mean?
That girl of yours.
Nice twist of female flesh, wouldn't you say?
She risked her life for you last night.
She'd done a better job with that knife. Maybe I'd be grateful.
You move wrong and I'll put a bullet in you before you've gone 10 feet.
Gonna gun a woman. Too bad she's out of close range.
She better stay out of range.
No use, mister. She'll be dogging us every step to Cooper City. Ain't so bad right now. But come nightfall, she's like a cat. She'll creep up behind you, soft as you please. And she'll have her claws deep in you before you know it. But you already know that, don't you, mister?
If that's what you wanted, why did you fire that shot?
To put a bullet in your head, that's why.
But you just said it yourself. She's out of range. She knows that, doesn't she?
What are you getting at, mister?
She could have waited till nightfall. Easy. Why risk warning me with a bullet that didn't have a chance?
I said, what are you getting at?
Your girl? I think she's in trouble. That shot was a call for help.
She can help herself. No skin off my hide what trouble she's in.
That's far enough. Drop the gun.
I gotta talk to you.
Not with that gun in your hand. Drop it.
I can't.
Go on. Put a slug in her. If you can, mister. I swear. Afraid to shoot a woman. Go on, honey. Put one in his teeth. Show him you're my gal.
Stop right there. I'll put a hole in your arm. That's better. Now drop the gun.
I think I better hang on to it. Why do you think I came down off that rock?
Behind these rocks, both of you. Hurry up.
How'd you get out here without a horse?
I busted its heart, getting away from them. I had to. You know what they'd do to me if they...
Yeah,
Do I keep the gun?
keep the gun.
Khalil,
What?
well, this sort of throws odds against me, hon, but they ain't hung you yet.
It's great. It takes care of everything, don't it?
Khalil,
What do you want?
well, I'm sorry I didn't do better last night. I tried.
Forget it. What's done is done.
They'll pick the horses off easy, and then we're stuck.
How well can you take starvation?
They won't stay around long. They just broke out of the reservation. Their only chance is to make the border. We're only a temporary diversion.
That may be true. Except for Valia here. He'll stick around a while for Valia.
Yeah, I guess they might.
Hey, you! Hey, you down there!
What do you want?
The girl. You got girl down there.
You go on. Get out of here.
We're young, strong. We have some fun.
You've had your fun. Now go on.
Mister, you ain't gonna talk him out of this.
I can try.
You can try all you want, but you're not gonna do it. You give us girl, we go away. You keep girl, we kill you both.
Khalil,
What do you want now?
they mean it, Khalil.
Valia! Valia! Valia, listen to me! Get back! Do as I say! Get back! Valia, no!
For close to 6 months, I'd been working at the Lonely Oak Ranch, lending my friend Jim Blackwell a hand. I don't generally stay in one place that long, but Jim had been sick. Real sick.
Afternoon, Ben.
Hi, Sheriff.
How have you been? Hardly ever see you in town anymore.
Well, I don't get to town much since the old man's been under the weather.
Oh, yeah. How's old Jim feeling?
No better. And the doctor says he's not going to get any better.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Say, any sign of the Sacramento stage yet?
No, but ought to be along any minute. Why?
Jim Blackwell's daughter is on it.
Ben, what are you talking about? Jim doesn't have any family.
He did have a while back. Well, it was a long time ago when Jim was just a ranch hand. Only his wife didn't like ranches, so one day she packed up, took the youngster, and lit out for Sacramento.
How much do you figure old Blackwell is worth now?
He's got a fine herd of cattle, nice spread, and money in the bank.
Well, there's the stage.
Not much of a town, is it?
Not after a state capital.
Maybe you'll let me try and make it more interesting for you.
Now, that's an interesting offer. But someone's coming in to meet me, Mr. Bonner.
Miss Blackwell? I'm Vint Bonner.
Oh? Well, how do you do?
Ah, I see you're in good hands. I'll say good day, Miss Blackwell.
Is he a friend of yours?
We met on the stagecoach.
I'll get your things.
How far is it to the ranch?
Mile and a half or so.
It's a quiet little town, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You weren't looking for excitement, were you?
No, Mr. Bonner. I wasn't looking for excitement. You're, my father's foreman, aren't you?
I've been working for him for a while.
For the last 6 months.
That's right. How did you know?
He wrote me about you. How is he? Any change?
No change. The doctor says he has a few more days.
I see.
I'll help you in the wagon. I was wondering when you're going to get around to asking about him.
I think that's being pretty hateful, Mr. Bonner.
It's Blackwell. Jim's a friend of mine from a long time back. I just think he ought to know for certain who's coming to see him.
I'm his daughter.
So you said in the letter. But for 20 years, you didn't show much sign of it.
I didn't know where he was.
But now you know.
Look, I didn't come all the way up here to listen to a cowhand insult me.
I'm not trying to insult anyone. I'm just being cautious.
Well, look, I'm Mary Blackwell, a legal heir, and I can prove it. And don't give me any trouble. You'd be surprised how well I can take care of myself.
You took long enough to get back.
I'm sorry, Jim.
Where is she? Did she get here? Is she? Oh. You look a lot like your ma. 20 years I had to wait to see you. 20 years.
I have a picture of my mother. Would you like to see it?
Oh, yes.
It was taken just before she died.
Yes, that's Janie. She was a fine-looking woman. Oh, Mary, Mary. I'm sorry about all those years.
I know. But we're together now.
I was sure glad to get your letter. I've been a lonely man, Mary.
I tried to find you before. I didn't know you'd settled down. Done so well.
Yes. We've got a lot to talk over, ain't we?
Yes.
Not much time to do it.
Oh. Now, don't talk that way.
Oh, but it's true. You don't have to get soft with me. I'm a tough, hard old man, Mary. Not easy to get along with at all. Your ma found that out.
Now don't. Patron, you must rest. Later you will talk.
Yes. I'm all right. I'm all right.
I owe you an apology.
Yes, I guess you do.
I won't give you any more trouble.
Hi, Sam. I think I'll take a drink.
Hello, Mr. Bonner.
I thought you were with Jim.
He fell asleep, so I saddled a horse and came on in.
Your place is out at the ranch right now.
You want me to stay there all the time? I talked to him all afternoon.
Bonner, the young lady and I are having a peaceable talk. Name's Steve Colby.
I know you, Colby. You're going home.
Listen, you big ox, you don't run my life, understand?
You're going home.
Hey!
Look, I said she's... I wouldn't do that.
Look, Bonner, maybe you can boss those ranch hands around, but not me.
Keep your voice down.
I can take care of myself.
You're sure doing a great job of it. The first man you pick up with is a cheap outlaw that spent half his life in jail.
Steve Colby!
Now you go on upstairs and you get some sleep.
Vint, that you? Come in here.
Good Good night.
Jim, you know the doctor said you shouldn't smoke these.
Never mind the doctor. You tend to your own health. What's all the ruckus? You having trouble with that girl?
Well, she's a little tough, kind of headstrong. She's your daughter for sure.
My daughter. Is she the only girl that got off that stage this morning?
Why?
Why? Why, you thick-headed cowpoke, that's the wrong girl.
Are you sure?
No, she had me fooled for a while. But I've talked to her a lot more since. I've tripped her up on at least a dozen things, and she didn't even know it.
But the locket she showed you, that was a picture of your wife, wasn't it?
You're dang right it was, and that's what I'm worried about. How'd that girl come to get it? And what's she up to?
Jim, it's been a long time. She was just a child when you saw her last. You could be mistaken.
Who's mistaken? I tell you, that's the wrong girl. Now look at here. You find out who she is. Oh, quiet down. Go on, son. Go on now. You find out who that girl is. Never get anything done here unless I do it myself.
In spite of what Jim had told me, the next morning I could tell it wasn't going to be easy to get at the truth. I tried to talk to the girl, but she was always busy. Busy being helpful. Jim tried to get something out of her, but she spent the whole day acting like a loving daughter. By the time I'd finished working around the ranch, she'd even decided to let up on me.
Mr. Bonner? Vint? Well, can't I call you Vint?
Sure.
I want to talk to you. You've been acting so strange today. So is my father. Could you tell me what it's all about?
We can talk later.
If you'd rather, but there seems so little time left, and not like my father to love me. If he can. You still don't trust me, do you? I don't want you to be cold toward me or distant. Not either of you. Can't you stay and talk?
I better go see Jim. How do you feel, Jim?
How do you think I feel?
Jim, are you still sure about that girl?
Yeah, surer than ever.
But she seems straight enough, and she even seems fond of you.
Fond of me? Well, anybody'd be fond of me to get this ranch. And I ain't very easy to get fond of. She ain't the right kind of girl. My wife was a lady, and her daughter'd be a lady. This one ain't no lady. Not clean through. Can't you tell?
Well, I thought she was a little strange, but...
She don't know enough of the facts, Bint, about Janie and about me.
Well, it's a long time, Jim. What facts could she know?
I used to hear from Janie. She'd write and tell me how things were going and what a fine town Sacramento was. Yeah. And then I got one letter. Said she'd met a man. Said she'd like to be set free.
Who was he?
Oh, an important lawyer. You're going to be a big man in the legislature one day. And the last I ever heard from her was telling what a fine wedding they had. That's why I didn't try to get in touch with them again. I wanted her to be happy.
You shouldn't have lost touch with your daughter, Jim.
Oh, she had a lot more than I could give her. Stepfather in line to be governor, maybe. But Vint, this girl didn't know a thing about any of that. I'm worried. I'm afraid something's happened to my Mary.
Easy, Jim.
This woman has come here to get my money. And that money belongs to my Mary, not to that little pick.
You all right?
Yeah. Look, son.
You got to find out the truth for me. How she knows what she does know, and how she got that picture.
All right, Jim.
And hurry. Yes, I guess you better hurry.
Miss Blackwell, you out here?
Right here, Vin.
I want to talk to you.
You stay right here. I'll come back as soon as I can. What is it? Is he?
He's just about the same. Who are you?
Who am I?
A man should know his own family. Jim Blackwell says you're no part of his.
So that's what's been eating him. And you too.
You're wasting my time. Who put you up to this?
Don't push her around, Bonner. Everything she told you is true. Now leave her alone.
Colby, from what I've heard of you, you're just the kind to try and swindle a dying old man.
It's not a swindle. She is Blackwell's daughter.
Why is it so hard for you to understand that? Because I'm not what you expected me to be. You want the truth. This is it. I hate every bone in my father's body. And I'm here to tell him so.
Then you are his daughter.
Oh, you bet your sweet life I am. His only kin, and before he dies, he's going to know it. What's so helpless about Jim Blackwell? To tell me that. All he's done for the last 20 years is get meaner and richer. The only thought he ever gave to his family was when he was on his dying bed, and I wrote to him.
But you didn't need him. You had your stepfather to take care of you.
I never had any stepfather.
But Jim said your mother married a lawyer, a man who could have been governor of the state.
Governor of the state? Oh, Steve!
Take it easy, Mary. Janie Blackwell never married again. She died while working in a Sacramento saloon.
But the letters...
I don't know anything about what she wrote him. Maybe she was too proud to tell him the truth, but I'm not. My mother worked in a saloon, and she died in a saloon. That's all the Sacramento she ever knew. That's all I ever knew.
Satisfied, Mr. Bonner?
Colby, go on home.
What for? I'm the one who found Mary's father living here. It's as much my business as anybody's.
I said go on home.
Go on, Steve. I'll see you later.
Make sure you get what's coming to you. It's a lot of money, Mary. Don't get cut out of it.
Well, you still think Jim Blackwell needs protection, Mr. Bonner?
Mary, go upstairs.
Oh, no. Not until I tell him exactly what I told you.
You can't do that.
No? Well, just why do you think I came to this miserable town? Senor, the patron asked for you. He is very bad.
I'll be right with you.
Well, I'm going in there with you.
No, you're not. The reason he never got in touch with you is he believed those letters.
Senor!
He's been a lonely man.
You talk to her?
Yeah, Jim, I talked to her.
Well, what'd you find out?
Nothing for you to worry about,
Don't
Jim.
hedge with me, you big clodhead. Get her in here.
I'm here.
Come in here. We got some talking to do. Sit down.
You feel all right?
No, I'm weak. I'm old and weak, and I'll give out. But I can still talk a little.
I'll bet you can.
Oh, he told you, didn't he? I can see it in your eyes. He told you that I'm on to you.
Yes.
You ought to be proud of yourself, leading me on to believe that you ain't no daughter of mine. Where are you?
Jim, wait a minute.
I ain't got time to wait. My daughter was a lady. You ain't no lady. You're nothing but a fake.
You were right, Mr. Blackwell. I'm not your daughter.
Vince, you hear that?
It's true. I came here to trick you and to take your money.
How'd you know so much about me? Where'd you get that picture?
No. Oh, well, I knew your daughter. Yeah, she's a very good friend of mine. She gave it to me.
Well, then, you can give it to me, then. You've got no right to have it. You got no right to touch it. Get it off your neck. Where'd you know my Mary?
In Sacramento. She was a wonderful girl.
I bet there was nothing hard about her eyes.
That's right. She was a lady.
That's a fact. Do you know my Janie, too?
Yes, I knew your Janie, too. They were both wonderful people. Oh, you know the man that Janie married? Well, he was always very kind to them, to both of them. He was a very important lawyer.
Yes, that's right. She wrote and told me.
Then after Janie died, why, he took Mary to Europe, I think. Yeah, they're over there somewhere now, still living.
That's very far away. Well, if you hear from her, write her about me, will you?
Oh, sure.
And Vint, you see that my Mary gets my money.
Your daughter will get your money, Jim.
Yeah. You're not a very smart young woman, are you? To try to steal from an old man.
No, I guess you're right.
You didn't fool me. Not for long. So I guess I can forgive you.
Well, thank you.
Mary.
I've got to get out of here. Will you drive me into town, Vin?
That was a fine thing you did. It took a lot of courage.
Oh. I only told him what he wanted to hear, that's all. I'll get my things.
You could stay a while. It's your home.
Oh, no. Thank you, Vin, but there's a man waiting for me. The kind of man that I'm used to.
I'll get the buck, boy.
Mary. It fell from his hand.
And the way Reverend Bloom looked at me every time he saw me made me sure I was. So...
Well, Vince, what are you doing here at Easter Creek?
Howdy, Sheriff.
Well, I just thought I'd...
I can't go on. I simply can't. He just won't play anymore.
No, Elvira.
Heaven knows I have tried. I have done my best, but he's just plain worn out. You can't expect the thing to last forever.
No, of course not.
How do you think I feel every Sunday morning? All those sour notes and the wheezing and the whining. Folks are beginning to say it's me. They're saying Elvira Peoples playing sounds just like a cat being skinned.
All right now, folks, give me your attention, please.
Oh, get out of my way.
Give me your attention, please. All right, now, quiet down now. Quiet down now. It appears that matters have come to a serious crisis. It's bad enough for Easter Creek not to have a church, but to be without an organ and an organist, well, that's a disgrace. It's a positive disgrace. So I propose that we take steps to purchase an immediate replacement. Oh, Sheriff Abner, would you step up here a minute, please?
Oh, I've been afraid of this. You better come with me, Ben.
Now, Sheriff, as treasurer of our community fund, you can take charge of finding out where we can get a new organ.
Well, where's the money coming from?
Well, now, I've given that matter careful thought, Sheriff, and there's only one solution. We'll just have to borrow from the building fund.
That's true, Sheriff. This is an emergency. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Now, just a minute, Miss Fickett. And you too, Reverend Broom. Just how much money do you think we've got in the building fund?
Well, we must have at least $100. We've been putting aside money for 2 years now.
We've got $42.12.
$42?
And that includes the $3.65 we got from the Cake Bazaar a month ago.
Are you sure that's all we've got?
That's all we've got. Church over at Whitfield bought a new organ last Christmas. They're willing to sell us their old one. Second-hand, of course, but it's still in good repair, and they're only asking $95 for it.
$95?
We're over $50 short. We'll never raise that much by Easter.
Let us not despair, Miss Fickett. Sometimes Providence can take care of a situation like this. Mr. Bonner, would you step over here a minute, please?
Come on, Ben. Come on.
Now, Mr. Bonner, I know you're not a regular member of our congregation, and you've only been in our midst a little while.
Well, I'll be glad to help you out, Reverend Broom, but I'm afraid any donation I'll give you will be just a drop in the bucket.
Well, donation wasn't exactly what I had in mind.
Oh?
No, I think you'd be of a greater service in another fashion. Ladies and gentlemen, I propose that we appoint Vint Bonner, a committee of one, to take charge of the organ-raising fund. Now, we all know Mr. Bonner is a man of strength and determination, and he inspires trust and confidence, and especially generosity.
If anyone can do it, Vint's the man.
Now, wait a second. Well, now, you've got to think positively, Mr. Bonner. Your approach will be 100% effective. And just to show you how easy it's going to be for you, we'll start out by taking up a collection right now. Sheriff Abner, will you pass the hat, please?
Reverend, you come back here.
All right, now, folks, dig down deep. This is a wonderful thing Mr. Bonner is doing for us. And this is our chance to show him how much we appreciate it.
Reverend, when you listen... Sheriff!
Now, hold on, Vint, hold on. You got to see my side of it. Now, all I had to do, you're going to say, is speak up for you. Well, the job you've had for only 2 days, I've had for over 2 years now. I just couldn't stand it any longer. All right, go on. Call me a coward if you want to. Well, I am. Vint, I'd rather face up to a couple of honest cattle rustlers or a decent horse thief than that Miss Fickett, or any of the other ladies around the town when it comes to collecting money. Seems like whenever anybody talks about giving, they always mean somebody else should do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I see your point.
You collect anything?
$11, that's what I got up to now.
Oh, Vint, that's wonderful. $11. Well, it'd take us at least a month to get that much. Well, within a week, you'll have the $50 for sure.
What do you mean in a week I'll have the $50? I've already talked to everybody in town.
Huh?
Well, you don't think this is any New York or Chicago or something, do you? There's only 70, 80 families around here. Of course, there's 100 dogs. I could go out to talk to them if you think it's right.
All right, calm down, Ben. Simmer down. I just slipped my mind for a minute.
Yeah.
How'd you do with the church collection?
We got $1.44 in cash, 3 buttons, $500 bill.
$500?
Confederate.
What skunk would...
Of course, there's one area I didn't bother with. They told me nobody's living up there. Up around Easter Creek on the north side.
Oh, it's a good thing you didn't go up there, Ben.
Well, nobody does live up there, do they?
Well, if there was, it would be nothing but a bunch of retired cattle rustlers, horse thieves, and worse. Mind you, I said if there was.
You mean somebody does live up there?
Oh, that's not what I said, Vint. You see, if I knew for certain that there were any outlaws living up near Easter Creek, it would be my duty to arrest them.
I see.
But if that Red-Eye Kirk ever comes anywhere near my town...
Red-Eye Kirk? Don't tell me he's holed up there.
That's not what I said, Vint. That's not what I said.
Well, what in tarnation did you say?
What I said was... what I mean is... Well, they do say there's a fellow resembles Red-Eye Kirk, has a place up in that section. Oh, just a resemblance, you understand? A lot of men look like other fellows, you know.
Sure they do. I see. Up on the north side.
Now, just a minute. Just a darn minute. What in tarnation do you want to go up there and let a fellow like Red-Eye Kirk kill you for?
You mean a fellow who looks like Red-Eye Kirk, if he lives up there?
No, well, whoever he is, what in tarnation has he got to do about raising money for a new organ?
I don't know. But I'm not going to leave any stone unturned. I'll see you later, Sheriff.
Goodbye, Ben.
What the sheriff had said got my curiosity up. I'd already passed a few shacks. People weren't exactly sociable. They had something else in common, too. All the horses and cattle had the darndest assortment of brands I ever did see.
Anybody home? Anybody home?
Don't move. Or I'll put a hole where your collar button ought to be. Now you turn around slow and let me take a look at you. Now, who are you and what do you want?
I'm looking for Red-Eye Kirk.
There ain't nobody here by that name.
Maybe you'll do then.
Huh?
My name is Bonner, Vint Bonner.
Bonner.
Yeah, well, take it easy with that gun, will you?
Now get him up. Now keep him up real high.
Oh, sure. This high enough?
Now you stand real still and don't you move at all. You really are Vint Bonner, ain't you?
Huh?
This gun of yours. Somebody told me about it once. Now you answer my question. What do you want?
Well, the fact is, what is your name?
Jones. Bill Jones.
Well, Mr. Jones, I've been given the job of collecting some money.
Huh?
You see, the folks down at Easter Creek need a new church organ, and that's what I'm collecting for.
What?
Well, it wasn't my idea. Reverend Broom kind of stampeded me into the job, and, put it plain, I just never had a chance.
You mean you're out here talking to me, trying to raise money so you could buy a church organ?
That's it.
Why, I wouldn't give you 5 cents for every church organ west of the Mississippi River. Now, if you don't want a pound of lead in your carcass, you better skedaddle.
But it wasn't your money I wanted.
Huh?
Oh, no, it wasn't that at all.
Now, what the devil do you want?
Well, you see, I've heard that you're a pretty influential citizen hereabouts, at least with some of the folks. And it seemed to me if I was to go moseying around alone, they wouldn't take too kindly to the idea of giving me a donation.
They sure wouldn't.
On the other hand, Mr. Red-Eye, Jones, I've heard that you're pretty good at collecting money. I mean, you look like a man that would be pretty good at collecting money. So, if you was to go along with me and we'd kind of team up.
You mean you want me to go along with you?
That's it.
And help you to raise the money so you could buy a new church organ?
They couldn't arrest you for it.
They couldn't arrest me for it. Why, that's a doggonest notion anybody ever had. Me taking up a Sunday school collection.
Think of the boys I could collect from.
There's Jack Denton, Chavez, Wisconsin Billy. It'd be worth it just to see the look on their faces.
How about it?
Oh, you sure got a sense of humor, Bonner. You know something? This scheme of yours, I'm gonna take you up on it.
And you know something? I sure hoped you would.
Here we are. Denton! Come on out here, Denton!
Who is it?
It's me, Red-Eye! Who'd you think I was, little bug? Well, I reckon you knew who I was all along, didn't you, Bonner?
Well, I make it a point never to argue with a man who's got a gun in my throat.
Oh, howdy, Red-Eye. What can I do for you? Who's that fellow with you?
Why, this here's Vint Bonner.
Bonner!
Come on out and be neighborly.
I never thought I'd live to see you riding with a lawman.
Well, I'm not a lawman. Let's say I'm law-abiding.
It's the same gol-darn thing.
Now, wait a minute and listen. Now, we got a little project. Explain it to him, Bonner.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm collecting money for a new organ for Reverend Broom's church.
What?
That's right, Jack.
Yeah. Sounded like you said you wanted money for a new organ. I must be getting deep.
We ain't got all day. How much we need?
Well, let's see, 42 and the dollars, about $43.
Well, what you waiting for?
Sure, Red-Eye, sure. Let me look in my purse here. Yeah. 3 $20 gold pieces. I ain't so good at counting, but is that all right?
Well, that's fine, but you didn't have to give the whole thing.
Was there anything else, Red-Eye?
No, I reckon that's all. Come on, Bonner, let's go.
Hey, wait a minute. That fellow Denton, I've seen him someplace before. I've got it. The Silver Kid. Gee, I was just out of short pants, but I remember. He blew up the bank in Nogales and got away with $50,000 in new-minted $20 gold pieces.
Why, that's foolish, Bonner. Why, the Silver Kid was shot down by a government agent 8 or 9 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Why, he does look some like the Silver Kid.
Sure are a lot of people around here who look like a lot of other people.
I was with old Silver.
Huh?
We'll go down to Mike Morgan's place next. It's just down the road a piece.
We don't have to.
What are you talking about?
Well, all I needed was $43.32, and I've got more than that here. The organ's all paid for.
Well, there must be something else that preacher needs money for, ain't there?
Well, they could use a new church. Of course, that's out of the question.
Doggone it, Bonner. I was just beginning to enjoy myself. Besides, it wouldn't be fair to the rest of the boys if Silver, Denton, was the only one that had the chance to do any contributing. Why, the least we could do is stop at the Morgan place. It's just down the road a piece. I ain't never had a chance of doing any collecting of money before. Legal-like.
Red Eye? I'm with you.
Now look here, Red Eye. It's taken me 9 out of 30 years to steal enough money. Save up enough money so Amy and I wouldn't have nothing to worry about. Now, if you think...
Will you shut your big mouth, Mike Morgan, and give this here Mr. Bonner some money for his church?
Yeah, but Amy, honey, I already give him $20. Now, that should be enough.
You old skinflint. You've got more money buried under the floor of that cabin than you and me'll ever live to spend. $20.
Now, honey...
Now, Mr. Bonner, you just take that back to your church, and I'll take care of this worthless old thief.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Bonner, could I talk to you for a moment, private-like?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Bonner, I've always had a hankering to... I know it's asking a lot, but... do you think them people in Easter Creek would let us come to church once in a while? Huh?
Well, I don't know.
I know Mike ain't nothing but a heathen, but I ain't much better for loving him. Love him I do since I was 18. And if there's one chance of getting him through them pearly gates, I sure don't want to miss it.
Well, Mrs. Morgan, I could talk to...
There's a lot of good in Mike in spite of his... Well, you know.
I'll talk to Reverend Broom and I'll see what I can do.
Thanks, Mr. Bonner. Now, Mike Morgan, stop sniveling about that money and get inside and fix that stove. You said you were going to do it over a week ago.
All right, honey. All right, Amy. Yeah, I'll fix the stove now.
We made quite a few more stops, and I never in my life met such an enthusiastic collector as Red Eye turned out to be.
I can't stop thinking about the look on Pete Miller's face when we told him what we was collecting for. He tripped over his shotgun and nearly blew himself over the barn.
That was a close one.
Doggone it, it's too bad Wisconsin Billy wasn't home, or he'd have been fit to be tied.
Well, I must have more than $1,000 here. More than I ever expected to collect. And I can't thank you enough.
Oh, that's all right, Vint. Think nothing of it. More fun than I've had in years. If you come back tomorrow, maybe we can get Billy yet.
Well, like I said, it's more than I ever expected. Thanks again.
Vint, if you ever do any more collecting, call on me, will you?
I won't forget you, Red Eye.
It was getting late, and I was kind of anxious to get back to Easter Creek. After all, I did have over $1,000 in that saddlebag I was carrying. I wouldn't like to be in this section after nightfall with that kind of money.
bushwhack me, huh?
No. I'm just trying to get your attention.
Well, you got my attention. Now, what do you want?
Well, Den said that Red Eye wants...
Red Eye?
Yeah. He said that you were taking up a collection.
Taking up a collection? Your name wouldn't be Wisconsin Billy, would it?
Oh, I don't want to admit to a name like that, but if you'll just let my arm go, I'll give you some money for your collection.
Well, what in tarnation are you fighting for?
I ain't had much chance to fight since I've been retired. I'd just like to fight. You like to fight.
Mr. Bonner.
What?
Mr. Bonner, you mustn't think me ungrateful, but I'm afraid we can't accept this money.
Why not?
Well, you see, Sheriff Abner told me where you got it.
Oh, blabbermouth.
Now, mind you, I don't have any objections myself. I think that if help is offered, it should be accepted regardless of the source. But my congregation, well, they aren't quite so broad-minded. And this idea of allowing Mr. Red Eye Kirk and those other outlaws to donate...
Now, Reverend, I talked to your sheriff, and he told me there weren't any outlaws up that way. And from what I saw, if there were, mind you, I said if there were, they'd all be retired.
Well, yes, but we don't like to think of our town as a haven.
And the sheriff also said if there are any outlaws up there, he'd have to do something about it, and you haven't had any trouble in Easter Creek for some time, have you?
Well, no, but everybody knows it's common knowledge.
And that story about Red Eye Kirk helping me collect the money, that could be mistaken.
Well, maybe, but you were seen riding along with... Well, it looked like Red Eye.
Reverend Broom, I know from experience, a lot of people look like a lot of other people. That's just coincidence.
Coincidence?
Sure. Didn't Sheriff Abner ever tell you about that fellow up on Deer Mountain that looks exactly like Red Eye Kirk?
Oh, no, Mr. Bonner.
And if there were some fellas up there who might have gone a little bit beyond the law, well, to accuse them of being criminals will stir up a lot of trouble. So, Sheriff Abner's your duly elected sheriff, and he says they're all right, and goodbye, Reverend. Well, I guess there was a little argument about whether or not to accept the money. But the sheriff and the reverend finally convinced folks they didn't have any right to turn it down. So the following Sunday, which happened to be Easter Sunday, the congregation had a new organ. I want you to know that service was real well attended.
Marching as to war with the cross of Jesus going on before Christ our royal master lead against the foe forward into battle, see his banners go.
I'd seen trail towns taken over before. This one was being taken over by Texans. Texans in a Kansas town full of Northerners. And they were letting out all the bitterness stored up since Lee surrendered at Appomattox. I was in Prairie City to pay respects to the daughter of an old friend, Mark Wilmer. There'd always been a room at his hotel for me, whether I had money in my jeans or not, and he talked my kind of language. I'd heard Mark Wilmer had died. I was curious about his daughter, Sophie, who'd never had much use for this ragged, sad-looking cow town.
This part of town is no place for decent people.
Decent people? Don't you mean cowards, Mr. Vesper?
Sophie.
Sophie. Say, what happened to law and order in your town?
Our respectable citizens won't show their faces this side of the railroad tracks. And suddenly, Sheriff Wiley found business elsewhere.
Mr. Bonner, maybe you could persuade Miss Sophie to
Mr.
leave.
Vespers, why don't you go inside? I'm sure you'll feel safer in there.
But,
I was sorry to hear about your father, Sophie.
He thought a lot of you. I'm glad you came by. I might never have seen you again.
I see by the sign you're planning to leave town.
Can you blame me? My father helped settle this town. He planted all of his dreams in its future. You can see what's happened to it. So I'm leaving it to the scorpions and centipedes to take over after outfits like Colonel Bromley's are through with it.
That Colonel Bromley? Well, there was nothing wrong with your father's dream, Sophie. Towns like this that can stay through times like this have a big future.
You sound like my father.
I take that as a compliment.
Oh, Vint, do you realize that except for 2 years in St. Louis, I've never set foot out of Prairie City? I saw what it did to my mother. The wind and dust and the whole ugliness of it. I don't want to dry up like a piece of leather. I want softness and gentleness in my life.
What kind of a monkey you reckon we've got here, Colonel?
Why don't you go find out, Zach?
Yeah, I think I'll do that. Just what are you supposed to be, mister?
Count Peter von Gilscher, Duchy of Hesse-Darmstadt. At your service.
Well, that's sure a mouthful of something. So you're a count, huh? I suppose that makes us all a lot of no-counts, that is?
Not at all, gentlemen. Not at all.
You've obviously seen military service, friend.
It was the only decent coat I had left. My other was in rags. When a man sets out on his last adventure, he owes it to himself to be neat about it.
Last adventure?
The one we all have to face sooner or later. The proudest of us.
Would I be wrong in saying that you sold your services as a soldier during the last conflict? The North, as well as the Confederacy, bought the services of European trash like you. Which side paid you off?
Vint, suppose he...
Yeah. It'd be pretty hard to decide what to do about it. Well?
Shucks, ain't no question about which side he did his fighting for. That's why he ain't saying.
Let the man talk here.
I did not fight for money, gentlemen. I tried to be of some use to a cause and a man.
I presume that you're not referring to the Confederacy and Jefferson Davis.
I'm referring to Mr. Lincoln, who spoke of the birthright of freedom and the abomination of slavery. I'm an incurable romantic. I can't help myself.
The North had no cause. They fabricated one to justify invasion. And the man you talk about was a tyrant and a fool.
Dirty, meddling foreigner. Hey, the ticket way, go drag him. Give him a taste of Yankee dirt.
You gonna let this happen? Oh, he was talking about a last adventure. Why not here now? However, I don't think it'll be fatal.
Drag him!
You're in here, you moose!
Just who are you, sir?
I doubt if it makes any difference, but my name is Bonner, Vint Bonner.
And what makes you think this is any of your business?
I don't think you'd understand.
My boys were just having a little fun. I wouldn't have let anything happen to them. They find it as distasteful as I do, the thought of this outlander spilling Southern blood.
You're stuck with the wrong idea, Colonel. The rebellion is over.
You're a man of tremendous pride, sir. I too have a remnant left of that very dubious virtue. And I should like a satisfaction for your, let's say, very ungracious welcome.
Really?
Will you please get off your horse, Colonel?
Don't turn this into something crude. Count von Gilsa wishes to make this an affair of honor. As a gentleman completely sensitive to your outraged feelings, I accept. I shall see that the necessary arrangements are made.
Von Gilsa didn't get all those medals just fighting for the Union. A couple were from Emperor Maximilian in Mexico, another from Garibaldi in Italy, and a real elegant one from the Republic of Costa Rica. To a girl like Sophie, born and raised in Prairie City, this was a genuine hero, 10 feet tall, right out of those Eastern novels. A washed-up freebooter and a romantic girl.
You're a very strange young lady. So gentle with a washcloth and so ferocious holding a gun.
It's the first time I ever had a shotgun in my hands.
I'm afraid I've caused you both a lot of trouble.
Let's say you just showed up at the wrong time.
Perhaps the time and the place were meant to be.
I don't know what you mean.
I believe that the Colonel and I are very much alike.
How's that?
Well, he saw his way of life die right in front of his eyes. In Europe, that happened to me also. There is an intriguing rightness that the two of us should face each other like this.
It sounds kind of foolish to me.
Whether I die or live, it's of monumental unimportance. Indeed, there is a theatrical quality about the whole thing that appeals to me.
Come in.
One of Colonel Brumley's men wants...
The Colonel doesn't waste any time. Since you have issued the challenge, it is my privilege to name the weapons. I have chosen guns. A shootout, frontier style, in front of the hotel, at your convenience. Obediently, James William Brumley.
Any answer?
You said what you came to say. You can go now.
I'd like to take you on sometime, mister. Any style.
You mustn't do this. Promise me you won't.
Your concern touches me deeply, Fraulein.
You stay where you are. Let me have this.
Let Vint handle this, please, Count von Gilsa.
I would rather you called me by my first name.
You can't fight Bromley's way. You don't have a chance where he'd kill you before you could even draw.
And I would be very honored to call
call you Sophie.
Oh, stop it. I just can't believe you care so little for your life. Everyone has some kind of dream to live for.
You are so young.
Look at me.
Child, you're like a flower, so sweet and pure and fair. Du bist wie eine Blume. That's the name of the poem.
It's lovely. But isn't there anything I can say? At least wait. Wait until Vent gets back.
Very well. I'll wait.
Take your good, gentle time here. This little beauty loves plenty of attention. Colonel.
You serious about this?
I'm completely lacking in a sense of humor.
But it would be just the same as shooting a man in the back.
Man shouldn't carry a gun if he doesn't know how to use it.
You carry a gun. How would you like to change things around a bit? You accept this and consider the signature mine.
I found out a few things about you, Mr. Bonner. No thanks. If I took you up, it would be like you shooting me in the back.
All right, then. Let him ride out of town just as peaceable as he rode in.
I'm afraid you misunderstand me. True, I'm not a gunman, but I make sure I have the best talent in Texas. If I merely wanted to have a man killed. But with Von Gilse, it's something very deep and personal. Something I must do. Be careful of her mane. She's very touchy.
That the way you want to leave it?
Count Von Gilse took his chances when he joined the Northern Army, didn't he? Well, now he can take his chances here against me. That clear?
That's clear.
Mr. Bonner. It's now 5:30. I'm giving you until 6 o'clock to get out of town. If you choose to prolong your visit for some foolish reason or other, you can argue the point with Mr. Clegg here in the saloon of the Wilmer House. You lose, but you can argue.
It's like we scared him off.
You're a rotten judge of men, Clegg.
What are you doing here?
Making sure the right people go in and out.
I'm sure glad you're back, Mr. Bonner. With 3 saloons in town, Colonel Bromley's outfit suddenly decided to favor us with their patronage.
Miss Wilmer's still in the room?
Yes, sir.
You hold still.
I'm concerned about Vent.
Oh, you needn't be.
Aren't you through playing nurse, young lady?
Peter, you know, some people can be wrong about things without even knowing it. Like I was.
You?
Yes. Only a few hours ago, I hated this town. And now I can see how it could be the only place in the world I'd want to live.
And what is the great secret that has performed this miracle?
Falling in love. Don't you believe it could happen this way?
I don't know what to think.
When men fall in love with pictures in the Matrimonial Gazette, and Grace Pridey, she went to marry a cousin in Vermont she'd never even seen before.
Yes, that's enough.
Well, you may not love me, but you do need me.
You do not know anything about me.
Oh, I know you're gentle and you're tender. Everything I ever wanted.
That's impossible.
Oh, don't you see? You could be wrong, too. There could be a place for you, and it could be right here.
You seem to forget a matter of my immediate future.
Oh, Vint will take care of that somehow, and tomorrow the Texans will be gone, and we could start a new life for ourselves right here. No, my father was right. You have to work for your happiness wherever you are. You never find it wrapped neatly in a package over the next hill. You found that out. So have I.
Your father was a very wise man. And he had a lovely daughter. My Liebchen. Oh, my Liebchen.
But Vint told you to wait until he got back.
I waited too long already.
No reason we can't have a drink before you two gentlemen start arguing.
After 6, Clay.
You will pardon me. I wouldn't want to be in your way.
It's his shoulder.
You can put your gun away, Mr. Bonner. Took a lot of courage for you to come into this saloon tonight. The same goes for our European friend there when he drew Zach's fire from you.
What's the matter, Colonel Bromley? You getting religion?
No. Just a regrettable flaw in my character. I admire courage in a man. Any man.
I'll get you a doctor.
You know, a man is a strange kind of animal. He can wander the face of the earth and never find a place to call his own. I've wounded some myself, and I know. It looked to me as though Peter von Gilsa had found his place.
Killed him, Mr. Bonner. Why did you just shoot him in the hand?
Well, the gun's not only for killing, Robbie. The gun's kind of a tool.
A tool?
Sure. Just like a hoe or an axe. Say, did I ever tell you about my grandfather?
Nope.
Well, his name was Jebediah Bonner.
People mostly call him Jeb. He was a marshal, and a good one. Good enough to stay alive and retire. I was a boy about your age. My ma and pa had been killed before I remembered, and Grandpa Jeb had seen to it that I was raised with Doc Ludlow and his wife. Grandpa Jeb was coming home that day. That's all I'd been able to think about for weeks. It's good to see you, boy.
I'm glad to see you too, Grandpa. I've missed you terrible.
You have. Well, let's take a look at you. My, you must have grown half a foot since I saw you last.
Martha, why don't you take the boy along home? I'll take Jeb in here and buy him a beer. He must be pretty dry and dusty after 2 days on that stage.
Now that sounds like a fine idea.
I've learned to write real good, Grandpa, and I can do sums, and I can ride a horse, and
And you can do just about everything, can't you? Well, you go along home with your Aunt Martha, and I'll be along directly. We've got a lot of time to talk about all the things you can do.
Jeb, suppose we just take that prescription I mentioned a moment ago. Two beers. May this be the first of a million of them, Jeb. You've earned every one of them.
You're Jeb Bonner, aren't you?
I know you, young feller.
No, you never laid eyes on me, but I know all about you. I hear they retired you, Bonner. You know, that's something. I mean, all the towns you tamed, and you still alive to retire. Now, you must be pretty good.
Good at what?
Well, I've heard you shot it out with quite a few. Some pretty good men, the way I hear. Bad ones, but some pretty good men.
Line between a good man and a bad man's mighty fine. And the older you get, the smaller it gets.
I'll buy you a drink.
No, thank you. One's enough for me in the heat of the day.
Oh, come on now. One more ain't gonna hurt an old retired hero like you. Come on, Doc. Introduce us.
Your mouth's big enough. Introduce yourself.
I'm Jim Kenyon. Does that name sound familiar to you, Bonner? This is my brother Bob.
Kenyon. I remember a Kenyon about 20 years ago. Up in Indian country.
That was my pa. I don't believe you give him a good chance for a fair fight, Bonner.
Well, whether you believe it or not, son, isn't too important. When a man's 20 years dead, it's high time people forgot about him and went on living.
Don't you get preachy with me.
What is it you want, son? A fight? I'm past that.
You go mind your business, Jim. You should teach him to mind his mouth.
I've tried to, Doc. He's voting age.
You planning on staying in Canyon City?
I thought I would. Now, you ain't gonna tell me the town isn't big enough for the both of us, are you?
Well, you ain't gonna like it here. And I just know you ain't gonna like it here.
I'm sorry, Jeb. I didn't think he'd shoot his mouth off like that.
Every man shoots his mouth off one time or another. Let's get on home. I want to see that boy of mine.
Jim Kenyon didn't leave it there. Guess he wanted the town to know how he felt because he horsed Grandpa and Doc off the sidewalk on the way home.
Grandpa, could you really outdraw John Wesley?
Well, there was a time. There was a time.
Then why didn't he hit that Jim Kenyon?
How did you hear about that boy? Only happened half hour ago.
Billy Haskell told me. His pa seen it. You just stood there and let them walk all over you.
What would you have done, Vint?
Gee, I don't know. Something.
Yes, I suppose I should have done something.
Then why didn't you?
Vint, if you were a real fast runner and been running real hard for 20 years, how do you suppose you'd feel?
Tired, I guess.
Well, that's me. I'm tired. See that hand? It's got a line in it for every year I've lived. And the fingers that used to be quick and limber, well, they're stiff. And the joints ache when the weather's fixing to change. I've learned a lot of things, but what good's all a man's learning if his body won't do what his head tells it to? Now, do you think I could outdraw that Jim Kenyon?
No, sir. I guess you couldn't do anything else but take it.
Let the boy alone. He has to be alone now.
Yes, I suppose so. But it's always so hard to lose a dream.
Excuse me, Mom. I think I'll take a little walk. understand what I was talking about in there, son?
I guess so. You're not young anymore.
No, son, I'm not young anymore.
But, Grandpa, isn't there something anyone can do, even if you're not young?
Well, now, Vince, you just might have a point there. Just might. You stay right here. I'll be back.
You'd be Marshal Bonner, right?
Just plain Mr. Bonner now.
Well, Mr. Marshal, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Sit down.
Thank you.
I'm sure I know why you're here, right? It's the Kenyons. Oh, I know them well. I've had Jim in jail more times than one for stirring up trouble. Jim thinks he's pretty good with a handgun.
Well, how about his brother Bob?
Bob? Oh, I'd say there's still some hope for him if Jim would stop pushing him. Mr. Bonner, I don't like to say this, but you made a pretty poor showing out there today. Now, as a famous lawman, you know that if you give a man an inch, he's going to take a mile, and he's going to walk on you every foot of the way, right?
For sure, I see.
Yes, but what are you going to do about it?
Well, what do you expect me to do about it? Put on a gun and brace the Kenyons in front of the whole town?
Oh, no, Mr. Bonner, that isn't what I had in mind.
Well, maybe I better do something to protect my reputation. Right? Right.
Yes, sir.
Grandpa told me later it wasn't too much for a feller who had spent half his life rousting drunks out of bars. Just a trick he used on the youngster when he wasn't expecting it.
Morning, Sheriff.
Mr. Bonner, I heard about what happened last night. I can't say that I exactly approve.
When I was by your office last night, you said something about my making a poor showing. Now you don't seem to approve of my making any showing at all.
I'm the sheriff of this town, and I intend to keep the peace.
That's a fine idea.
Even if some old has-been of a... just let me say, I don't want anything to stop me.
Well, I always did approve of law and order.
Let you and I go out to the Kenyons and see if we can settle this matter amicably before it develops into something far more serious. Right?
All right.
Come on. I'll get my hat.
We've gone further than we should with this, Jim. Now you take it easy.
Gentlemen, I think we'd better have a little talk.
Well, what do you want to talk about?
Sheriff, I can speak for myself.
Mr. Bonner, I'll handle this. I'm also an able lawman. I'm not going to mince words with anyone. Neither am I going to take sides.
Oh, look, Sheriff, why don't you stick to rousting drunks? You're going to get into something that won't rub off.
I should lock you up.
And why don't you step off that horse and try it?
I've had about enough of this, Jim. Now you pull in your horns while there's still time.
And you shut up, Bob. Come on, Sheriff. Come on, lock me up. And you're man enough to do it without that gun, ain't you?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, my back!
Now quit crying. Come on, you windbag. Get up. Get up.
He could be hurt bad.
Haven't you had enough trouble? It's always you. You with your gun-toting and your brawling and your hate.
Oh, shut up.
Don't you stand there. Help me.
Look, Bob, she might be your girl, but don't let her talk to me like that.
Look, somebody's got to set you straight. You're no good, Jim.
Look, I told you to shut up.
Now, you just stop right there, Jim. Now, you just move back there and stay like you are. Sheriff, appears to me like you're going to be laid up for a while. You're going to need yourself a deputy. I'd be right honored if you'd make it me. Much obliged. Bob, I'll send a buckboard back for him from town. You're just as big a fool as your daddy was.
I'm gonna kill you, old man. I'm gonna kill you.
You so mixed up, you gotta kill me to straighten yourself out?
Anytime, anywhere. Now, you let me get my gun, I'll settle it right now. I don't care how fast you were. Or are.
I like witnesses when I gun a man down. Now, if you got the guts, I'll meet you in town this afternoon at 4 o'clock, where everybody can see.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bonner.
Sit down, Bess. You love Bob, don't you?
Yes.
Then you were right in doing what you did. People do a lot of things wrong, but the love in them makes it come out all right.
Oh, but Jim will kill you, Mr. Bonner. You're...
Old. Yep, I'm old. Well, Bess, there's some things you can do, even if you are old. Let's just wait and see.
How did you know that about love?
Well, girl, you have to be young before you're old.
Did you have a girl then?
Had me a wife named Elizabeth. She had eyes the color of a pond right after a quick freeze. She died a year after we were married. Gave me a boy named John. He and his wife were killed at the massacre of Little Creek 5 years ago come next June. And they left me bent.
You must have really loved her to remember her like that.
Loved her. That's a pretty feeble word to express an emotion as big as the sky.
Grandpa said that even good friends sometimes don't agree on things that are important. Doc Ludlow made his feelings pretty clear.
If you face Jim Kenyon, you'll be dead. He's fast. I've seen him.
I'm sorry, Ken, but it's 25 minutes to 4.
I'm sorry, too, Jed. Sorry you ever came back to Canyon City.
Did you hear all that, boy?
Yes, Grandpa. I don't want you to get killed, Grandpa.
Now you listen to me, son, and you listen carefully. Things don't always turn out the way you plan them, and hardly ever the way you'd like them to be. But however they turn out, you've got to take them coming on. Now, you understand that?
I think so. I love you, Grandpa.
Well, I feel the same about you, boy. I surely do. Now, you stay right here. Understand? And I'll be back directly.
Something anyone can do, even if you're not young. I don't want you to get killed, Grandpa. No, sir. I guess you couldn't do anything else but take it. I love you, Grandpa.
You didn't let me get close. I could have beat you. I could have beat you.
Take care of him, Ken.
That was no lucky shot, Bonner. You could have put that bullet right between his eyes and no one would have blamed you.
I'd have blamed myself. Vint, today you saw your first gunfight.
Yes, sir.
Did you like it?
No, sir. I was scared. But you weren't scared, were you, Grandpa? You just stood there and let him shoot at you.
You know why I'm sitting down right now, son? 'Cause my legs don't want to hold me up. Someday you're going to grow up. And when you do, I want you to remember what you saw today. I want you to remember something else, too. Growing old ain't so bad. It's just well, it takes a mighty getting used to. That's what it does.